quiet, please. Hello. I'm sorry about that. My laptop camera didn't seem to work as soon as I pressed go live. I don't know what's going on there. Some gremlins, I would imagine. Anyway, I'm doing it on my phone, so I'm still here. So tonight, I want to talk to you about the power of body language and a few little tidbits that I can share with you tonight. There's 5 that I want to look at. There's loads, but 5 things that I thought might be interesting whilst we're at home, or might be going to work or doing virtual communications or things like that. There's a few things that we can talk about. So the thing about body language is it's non-verbal. So before we even open our mouths, we can tell a lot about somebody's mood, their feelings at the time, their behaviour, just by their gestures, their movements and their facial expressions. It's like a silent communication, if you like. And it can also reveal somebody's attitudes, their emotions and their thoughts at the time. So if we are aware of body language, although it's usually subconscious, we don't normally it's not something we bring to the front of our minds. It's something that we just take for granted, but actually we use it to read other people and they read us. So if you know what to look for and you can learn a few of these little tips, it can help you build your confidence, really, and it can also nurture your self-image, which is what I'm all about. They say, this is a fact, that you can tell within the first 7 seconds of meeting someone how they feel about themselves by their expression and about their movement, whether they know it or not. I mean, if you go into a room, let's say you're going to a networking event and you see somebody at a desk and they're sort of lowered shoulders, they're fidgeting a little bit, they might be sitting quite slouched or something like that, you automatically think that they're not happy, or they might not be very confident, or they're not coming across as being very welcoming, so you wouldn't really go over to them unless you know them, obviously. And if they're looking like that, then you would go and say hello, what's the matter? Obviously in the future, not now, unfortunately. Whereas conversely, on the opposite of that, if you go into a room and there's somebody sat at the same table and they're sat upright and they're gesticulating and they're smiling and their eyes are bright and their eyes are shining, and just by the way that they are, you automatically are attracted to them because they're lively and positive and giving off good energy. So we do read people really well, and that's the beauty of being a human being. So I thought I'd share with you 5 things that can help our body language, help you read it, and also in certain situations. So the first one is how you hold yourself, or walk tall, as I usually like to call it, because your posture, how you can actually change your mood and your emotive state by changing your posture. So, when sometimes you're sitting there slouched and someone says, I found sitting up and keeping straight back makes me feel better, you automatically start adjusting yourself. If somebody notices you slouching, you automatically sit up straight. And by actually putting or moving your body can actually change your mood. So you can actually think yourself happier, if you like, or not feel so meh. So if you are feeling a bit grumpy or a bit meh, you can actually sit there and just straighten your back, plant your feet firmly on the floor and open up your chest a little bit and just raise your head. And by doing that, you automatically lift your mood because you're sending signals to your brain. The other thing you can do as well is you can imagine if you're sitting straight and you straighten your back, and then you pretend or visualize that you're reaching to hug somebody, or you're reaching to get a bunch of your favorite flowers or something like that. The movement alone helps your mood and helps you feel better because it's like a physiological process. You can actually do it as well. I do it as well before I'm going to do a speech, like in front of a lot of people or something like that. A lot of people know this. I'm quite happy to share that. I will go into the loos beforehand, take a few deep breaths, and I do the Wonder Woman pose, okay? Because by literally, where you can do that if you want, I don't know what she used to do, but I literally I stand up straight, I look at myself in the mirror, and I hands on hips, and I say to myself, I can do this. This is no problem. I feel confident. And by doing that, you're actually triggering your brain to take action, and the confidence and moving your posture will actually help. So it can help your mood, it can help you feel more confident, and by taking a deep breath as well, puts you in the room and makes you feel that you are in control. So when I say walk tall, your actual posture and moving yourself can actually help your mood and help you change your energy, as it were, positive energy. I mean, also for ladies that wear heels, maybe some men like a little Cuban heel, I don't know, Prince used to. But by actually having a little heel, it doesn't have to be a massive heel, it can actually change your posture so that, somebody used to say to me, is it teeth out, tits out, stomach in, or something like that? I can't remember what it was. But wearing heels actually changes your posture so that you do walk taller, and it will actually help your mindset. Walking tall is actually a thing, because it just keeps you set. You can also change your posture as well. Like if you're in a meeting or you're talking to someone that, is not filling you with joy, or maybe a little bit boring, just by moving your weight forward onto the front and just resting your elbows on the table so that you feel more supported, that little move from thinking, oh God, I'm bored, to just adjusting yourself will help you focus. Our bodies are a brilliant thing, and obviously mind and body is connected. So it's good to create the space. It's good to gesticulate. If you are making more space, you are more confident, and walking tall and you're making more space, that's better. Whereas opposed, if you're not feeling very good, you tend to have less space and your head goes down and you slouch and you get smaller. So think about your space and move your body or make an adjustment, and it will actually help your mindset. Some people lean in when they're interested and slightly tilt the head. People, when they're not interested or disassociated, tend to leave back, or some people just turn the back on you. But, if you can do the 45-degree thing, so you can meet somebody in the middle when you sit next to them rather than face to face, because that's quite, what's the word? When they're in your face. Whereas if you sit next to somebody, it's opening a better discussion. So if you've got something you want to talk about at home with a family member that might be, could blow up or something like that, it's always best to sit next to them or at a slight 45-degree angle to them rather than in straight head-to-head, because that's confrontational. That's the word I was thinking about. So think about where you're putting yourself and move your body. And take a deep breath and stick your chest out a little bit more and just hold your space, because that will create positive energy. The other thing is a practice called mirroring. And this is good for rapport. So if you want to get on well with somebody or feel more confident and have that flow of conversation, what we do is we actually mirror somebody subconsciously. So sometimes you can be talking to somebody and somebody might be leaning, and then you think, oh my God, I'm doing it as well. You don't always notice, but subconsciously we mirror people. So we match the tone of the voice, we match the speed of the voice, we match the mood of the voice. And that's always a good thing to do to get communication better with the body language as well, because there's nothing like bounding home in a really good mood to be confronted by a family member or your partner who's had a bad day, a bit low, and the last thing they want to see is you bounding in and saying, well, I've done this, I've done that, what have you done, blah, blah, blah. The best thing for that person with a lot of energy is to come into the room and just temporarily match the image, the body language and the mood of the other person, so that then they can move up from there. So, it's to mirror somebody's mood is a good way of starting communication without any blow-ups. So you can go, I see, okay. So you're lowering your energy, and then it's, okay, you've had a bad day. Okay, do you want to talk about it? Sit next to them and just go with what they're doing. Not obviously, because obviously if you're doing it on purpose, and it can become across as you're taking the what's it, you're mimicking them. But if you're just mindful of a few little things where you just change your energy and you match the energy, you can then build them up with you. Okay, so the conversation and communication gets better. And that's how mirroring works. And so when you do it, to match things, you can then get a better flow going with conversation. And, you can normally get more things sorted if you do it that way, rather than confrontational, one loud, one quiet, or the other way around. Okay, so that's something to think about, and you could perhaps use that at home. The other thing is, it's in the eyes. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul. They certainly are, because the eyes show interest. When you're talking to somebody, if you hold their eyes, their eyesight for a little bit while you are talking to them, it shows that you are listening and you're focused and you're attentive. Sometimes our eyes might wander around a little bit. If somebody's, annoying you or boring them, the best thing to do is to just look at them, stare at them in this bit here, which is the business triangle, if you like, the business focus, and then they will stop going on for a little bit. And some people don't like looking at people in the eyes. They have to move around a little bit because it might be uncomfortable. So if you're one of those people, the best thing to do is to look at this bit here, which is this is sort of so between the nose and just above the eyes is sort of the business focus. So if you don't want to look them straight in the eyes, you can look at that bit. The attentive bit, when we are really interested, we tend to look at this bit, and this is more of the attentive focus area. So there's a few little tricks that you can use, and also that your pupils respond to unconsciously. So when people are negative, or they're angry or hostile or maybe lying, your pupils will constrict, and when people are happy and positive, they dilate. So it's quite hard to see. Obviously, you can't stand there staring into their eyes, but you will be able to see their eyes open up if they're happier and more positive. And when there's something going on inside where they're not very happy, or they're feeling negative, or something's going to happen, sometimes you can see the pupils get smaller. So it's really interesting, and you cannot hide that. That is a subconscious automatic thing that happens. Okay, the body is a fascinating thing. And, it's quite hard you can't control those things. That's why body image is quite important, because they're automatic and subliminal. So look out for things like that. And also, we're supposed to meet our gaze 60 to 70% of the time to get a good flow of conversation and accessibility. So, it's interesting to think about that. Next time you have a conversation, look where they're looking. Are they looking around? That sort of thing. Because in NLP, there's something called eye access cues. Some people used to say that you could tell when people were lying as to where they were looking. Because our eyes can recall all the information on our memories. So they reckon if you look so here's this is this thing here, which I'm quite happy to post underneath. But they're saying that if somebody was to ask you what your dream car would be, you tend to look up and right, because that is you're imagining your visual. Whereas if somebody asks you to describe what your car looks like now, you look up and left. Okay, so that's just the visual. Then there's auditory, and then there's feelings and self-talk, depending on which side it is. And they used to say that if you look to the right, then you were trying to think of your story and you were lying. But actually, that's bunkum, because everybody has a different baseline, and everybody looks at things differently and recalls information differently in their brains. But that's what it used to be thought. So to say you can tell a lie, I would look more for different tells with regards to scratching your nose, because there's the Pinocchio response, because it actually dilates blood in your nose. So scratching and messing around the mouth or anything around here, And the eyes is more likely to say whether somebody's lying or not, rather than where the eyes are going. So that's an interesting little bit of things, interesting that you can remember. Or try. Ask somebody a question that you know the answer to, or they don't, and see what happens. Yes, that's the Pinocchio scroll. Or they cough as well. That's another thing. Or do lots of big gestures. So it's in the eyes. Then there's the smile. I mean, smiles are the universal sign of happiness, aren't they? We do it from birth. And it's a positive way to make somebody feel good, to pass on the love, and it influences other people's responses to you. So smile a lot, because the benefits are, this is true because I googled this bit, it helps your mood because it creates dopamine, endorphins and serotonin, so they're the happy chemicals in your brain. Hello. And also it reduces pain, because it relaxes your body when you start to laugh, and also can reduce stress as well. There was a guy called Dr. Zajonc in the 80s, and he proposed that when we smiled, we actually constrict blood flow in our brain, which cools it, which then helps us with the smile. So a cooler brain apparently gives more positive feelings, whereas opposed to an angry brain when we're hot and it's pumping through, it heats it up. But that's something to go and research. I just thought that was interesting to add. It's easier to smile than it is to frown, so it's something that I would definitely recommend. And you can fake a smile. Normally a genuine smile, you get the creases in the eyes with the mouth movement. A fake smile might be asymmetric, or it will just movement here where the eyes remain the same. So there are different smiles, but a genuine smile, you will have creased and movement around the eyes. Okay, so the whole face moves rather than just the bottom bit. Like I say, the eyes are the window of the soul, so you'll be able to tell. So these are all really funky things that you can look into. And the thing as well with genuine smiles is that they tend to grow gradually and then fade away, whereas fake smiles they can be quite instant and sometimes a bit lingering, and then they go away quickly. So these are all really interesting things to think about, because body language is there to give us some clues, and once we know what we're looking for, sometimes it can really help alleviate a situation and help you make a different response, or create different behaviors. So that's body posture: walking tall, watch where your body language is, make it big or make it small depending on how you want to come across. Mirroring is looking at other people and taking little things so that you can go with it or match them so that you get more communication. Eyes, remember what I said about where they look, and your dilation of your pupils. Smile, they're really important anyway, because that makes you feel better. It's better to be positive than negative, so smile will actually increase your blood pressure. So it makes you feel better. And your hands, I mean, Europeans are quite renowned for being gesticulating and things like that. So it's important to sometimes, if people are visual learners, to get the message across using your hands. And it's a lot more positive, particularly if your palms are up when you're talking rather than when your palms are down. You'll see a lot of politicians, Trump does it a lot, when the palm is down, it's quite authoritative and controlling, and it's almost like, calm down, I'm the boss, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if your palms are up, it's a lot more welcoming, it's a lot more truthful, and it deems a lot more positive. So, use your hands if you want to create more of a reaction, especially if you're talking to people, presentations, or just in general conversation. You're more likely to be listened to if you've got more movement. So keep them visible. And when it comes to being at home at the moment, touch is so important. Even if it's just with people at home at the moment, obviously we're not allowed to touch anybody else from other houses, but touch is so important. So just a shoulder, a wrist, an elbow, a cuddle, anything like that is so important, not only for our mental well-being, but for body language, because it tells people that you care about them and that you're there for them. And at the moment, that's really important, and it can just be a simple gesture like that. Okay, so there's just a few things. There's loads of things about body language that are absolutely fascinating, but I just thought I'd share with you those 5 things. I mean, hands alone, when it comes to handshakes and protecting yourself, when people sit there with cupped hands in front of their nether regions, it's normally to do with protection. And when people hold things in between them, that's protective as well, even if it's a cup of tea or whatever it is. So go and have a look and find some interest in the world of body language. It could help you. And if it doesn't help you and you just want to read up on something, go for it. Okay, so that's me for this evening. I don't know what my topic is for next week, but it will be something cool. So thanks for listening, and goodbye.